Hey, what's going on, everybody? Andrew here, back for our build review show. It is Friday, February 14th of 2025, and on this show, I bring users builds up live on stream, giving them personalized feedback and advice about things I think that they can do differently in their builds to help them build better lineups, submit stronger lineups into their contests, and also improve their post-contest sim ROIs. So we do this show starting this week every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. If you ever want to get signed up for a show, all you need to do is send us an email, support@sabersim.com, or post in the office hours channel in Discord, letting me know what sport, slate, and site you want reviewed. If you do that, I will add you to the list for the next show. So we have one user signed up for the build review show this week. It was Raf LP, and we are going to be reviewing NBA from the 10th, which was this last Monday here. So why don't we get SaberSim pulled up here, and we'll jump into reviewing his lineups here really quickly. Before we get started, quick question from Cameron. Where is the elite package you mentioned in office hours? The elite package was a special promotion we did during Black Friday of 2024 that just passed. I don't know if it's like widely available or not. Team is a little we don't like heavily promote the elite package. If you're interested in the elite package, just send us an email, support@sabersim.com. Or you could also reach us just by using the report a problem box here. It's not technically a problem, but that is another way of reaching out and making contact with our team. So if you do that, we'll be able to get you some details on Elite. All right, good stuff there. Jumping back to our build review, we're going to start in the contest tab as always. Everything right here, low stakes, under $3, right? Very, very good contest selection. That is common from Raf. He's very strong in the contest selection department, which is awesome. So looks like biggest contest here is this 40K sharpshooter. We will review the lineups from this contest and hop over to users. Going to look at people who maxed, sort by sim ROI. All right, so what do we see? So we see about 21% positive sim ROI. Highest sim ROIs are probably somewhere in like the 45 plus range. So it does seem like there's some room for improvement here. We do see a ton of different swaps, right? We see a couple builds. We see a couple different swap windows. I'm not 100% sure why we see so many swap windows here, because it looks like Raf had swapped all of his lineups together. So just in case, anybody doesn't know this here, you can use the same swap window the entire night, right? So if you go and you start a late swap, you open your swap one, well, you don't need to open up a new late swap at the next window. All you need to do is go into your original swap, click the refresh projections icon, and then that will tell SaberSim, hey, new games have locked. And then you can just use that swap one the entire night. So in case Raf or anybody else doesn't know that, you don't have to open up a new late swap at each window, right? Because you can see the different times, 422, and then the 4:30 games pass, 4:47, and then the 5 o'clock games pass, right? 5:26. So seems like they're doing a new one each time. I don't really know of like a advantage or reason for doing that. And you could keep it in one if you want to, take me up on that. All right, and looks like it was good we talked about that, because Michael said I definitely use new late swap windows every time. Yeah, so it's cool. One of the good things about that, right, is if you have like you don't have to copy over any settings, right? Those are already there. Any rules, right? You don't have to worry about any of that copying over. Your min uniques stay constant, right? So like if you're in a swap build and you're in autofill, and then you have like your min uniques set to like 4 or whatever, and then you use the same swap window, you click rebuild, this number actually stays there and it doesn't change back to 1, right? So just less of a chance of things getting lost in a new window when you're like transferring everything over, right? So can save you some steps along the way, can save you, valuable seconds in NBA, which we know always comes up. All right, so getting back to this contest, let's go back and re-pull this up, because we didn't get to dive in too deep into what we were seeing in flashback. Let's close projections, users, 20 lineups, sim ROI. All right. So pretty salaries like pretty in line with others, like 49.7, 49.8. It's like right in this range. Seems good. Zero dupes, good. 268.7 sim average score. This is kind of like where we're talking about, like, hey, there's kind of like a range, right? Seems like the range is like somewhere between like 271 and like 275, maybe. A couple outliers, like a 277. We do see a 269.9, but it feels like 268.7 is just like slightly too low, right? I would like to see this number. I think a safe number is like 271, 272. You're like definitely good. And I'm sure like a small adjustment here will help us. So what do we got? No lineups there. Dimes, single entry. I'm going to assume the 20 max and the 150 max. I'm going to assume these came out of the dimes because I don't see another pre-slate build here with lineups other than the single entry. So we'll just do the dimes, still like 20 max and stuff. So it probably relates better to that $3 20 max than some of the others. And then Michael said it did kind of help me to know the number of swaps were for each start, but that definitely helps to know. Right on. All right, so let's get into this build. So what do we see? So looks like he's bumped up minimum salary. That is definitely a way of trying to get to a higher projected set of lineups. No filters, no rules. No min or max exposures. Just checking if there's any in the individual columns, which it doesn't look like there is, which is good. Stack exposures, limiting stacks here, kind of heavily here. I don't know how I feel about excluding some of these. Like for instance, I don't know why, and this is just my opinion, I don't know why you would allow a 3-2 but exclude a 3-2-2, right? Or like allow a 2-2 and a 2-2-2 but not allow a 2-2-2-2, right? So like you're like, I'm cool with 2-2 stacks, I'm cool with 3-2 stacks, but I'm not cool with 4-2 stacks, right? Like I don't really understand the logic there, like a little bit, right? Or like if you're cool with like a 3-2, why not like a 3-2-2? So, I'm not sure like where that idea comes from. I'm not sure if this is like having an impact on your sim ROI results or not. This is probably like something you could trial and error. It's like, okay, for my $3 20 max and like my $1 20 max, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But then like maybe for like a couple dime times, quarter jukebox, something like that, I'm going to try and allow more stacks, right? Maybe I still don't want to allow 4 stacks or bigger, but maybe I'm going to allow all of the stacks under 3, right? So it's like the no stacks, the 2 stacks, the 3 stacks, allow all of them. Don't allow the 4s or greater and go from there, right? And then you could do like, okay, maybe I take that approach in like the quarter jukebox, and then maybe in my dime times, I allow all the stacks, right? Now you're using, every contest, right? Or different types of contests in different ways. I'm personally not opposed to like 4 stacks or bigger, especially on slates where there's like a ton of value, right? And the easiest way to do that is just like come into the value column. This doesn't seem like Monday doesn't seem like a high value slate, right? But if you were playing on like Wednesday, if you were playing on like Thursday, where guys are just getting ruled out left and right, everybody's going to Cancun for the break. Like who knows what's going on here, right? There are probably opportunities to, there are probably a lot more plus EV lineups with 4 players from one team than on like a night like this one, right? On like Monday. So if you're adjusting those on like a day-to-day basis based on like value or something, I think that's like a fine idea. But I think there's an opportunity here to trial and error, to try different ideas and methods and see if any of them end up having an impact on where you're grading out in your contest, right? And then also really important, right? The ROIs that you can achieve in your contest are always relative to the contest, right? So like, okay, we got 20% ROI in this $3.20 max, right? Well, what if you go and do the trial and error and then you end up with like a 10% ROI in a different contest, you know, because we're talking about dimes, quarters, $1.20 max, $3.20 max, right? You're like, you know, my ROI was lower. But what if the highest achievable ROI in this contest is now 15% and you're like a top 5 maxer, right? So when you're comparing your trial and errors across contests, I think the best way to do it is how far from the top are you in any individual contest, rather than comparing the ROI numbers between the contests. Like, oh, in this one I got 20, and this one I got 50, and this one I got 15, right? It's like, well, how far away from the top are you in each of these, right? And then that will tell you how good of a strategy it is. And then you can expand it like, hey, which ones are grading out the best? You know, I'm going to expand this strategy into the other contests and then see how you're grading out respectively in those other contests as well, right? So that is like something important to keep in mind when you're doing this like cross contest trial and error strategy stuff. Okay, where were we? So we were on stacks. Nothing in games, nothing in team stacks. This all looks fine. Go to lineups. Okay. Don't know if they use direct or autofill. Looks like they might have used direct here, but it looks like these two contests are effectively the same. So you just treat it as 40 unique lineups. You could treat it as one unique contest, right? With the contest size being the same, payout structure, price ball, that's going to be the same as well. So I don't mind building these together in direct. We see unique rank. We see 6 uniques. That's fine. We see a bunch of aggregate metrics. So they're being very conscious with all of their metrics. So that all seems really good here. I think that, you know, if you do this and you find like, hey, I'm just consistently grading out a little low on projection, I think I don't know if they were on or not, but it looks like he's aware of them, right? Other thing, you know, when you use a high uniques, I would always probably set an ROI greater than 0 filter just to be safe, just make sure you're not dipping down too far. Because here, right, this is actually a good example. Your min destination ROI is negative 10%. So there is a lineup in these 40 when using 6 uniques that does dip into negative ROI territory because the uniques is so high, right? So just having that ROI greater than 0 filter is just a safeguard, but it can come into play, right? And we see that here. So I would add an ROI greater than 0 filter. I would probably add a projection filter. It is possible, just looking at this, that using a uniques of 6 is causing you to play a little bit lower projected lineups. Like if we come up to 4, projection jumps like 9 points here. You know, if you are consciously making the decision to trade off projection for uniques here, then that's okay, right? You could disregard what I said earlier. But if you're not doing that, you know, so if like it's just kind of passing you by, right, you didn't really notice it, I would probably use a little bit higher unique to maintain some projection. And then that could be those 2 to 3 points that we're talking about in the post-contest sim. And then all of a sudden your post-contest sim ROI can shoot up here, right? So projection filter, ROI filter, maybe not as many uniques, depending on how you feel about your leverages and stuff. Those are the things that I would be considering here. But all in all, I feel like this was a pretty solid review. I hope that you have some useful takeaways with strategy differences, uniques, all the things that we talked about here, filters. So good stuff. Definitely on the right track. 21% positive sim ROI. So we're just gonna, work on increasing that number, and then hopefully that helps you to realize some actual ROI faster. All right. Question here from Michael said, I typically use direct fill. What's the difference between direct and auto? Yeah, sure. Happy to talk about it. I do want to plug this video, though. It is a good video talking about this in our help docs. We do have a video, autofill versus direct fill. and fill methods. I'll drop it here in the YouTube chat. That's like an in-depth breakdown that Jordan does. But big differences, right? Direct fill. This is actually a really important one, right? If you have all your contests selected, it is going to use the average ROI if you're using contest sims across all of your lineups, right? So if you're using Saber Score and you just have, one Saber Score, totally fine to use direct, treat them all as one. But like here, right, if I have ROI, these lineups are going to have different ROIs for different contests, right? And if I select, it looks like he just ran the contest sim for 2, but even here, right, the sims are slightly different. Well, like these are the same contests with the same payout structure. Imagine different contests with different entrants, different payout structures. The ROIs can vary significantly, right? In direct fill, it will average those out based on how many contests are selected. Where autofill, it will always use the specific contest sim when filling your lineups, right? So what autofill does, you could do it a lot. You could do it in direct fill. It just takes a lot more time. Autofill is faster. So autofill is effectively this. You uncheck all the contests in direct fill. You select one. The sorting updates to sort by this specific contest's ROI. It sorts the lineups. You apply your uniques. You apply your filters. You click save. And then you go to the next contest. And then you do this one. And then you do the same process. You do the next one. You do the next one, right? Autofill does that process for you in seconds, right? I come into autofill. I select all the lineups. I click save. And within, 5 to 10 seconds here, it has iterated through all of the contests and done that process for me. So it's a lot faster. The difference with autofill is that you should always save your lineups first and then view your exposures, because you have to save your lineups for the lineups to be put into the contests, and then you review it. Then you make any changes, and then you save again, and then you make any changes, and you save again. With direct fill, you're always going to see your lineups before they go into the contest. So it's a little bit backwards there. That's like the big difference, right? Direct, you see your lineups, then they go into the contest. With auto, you save them first to assign the lineups to the contest. You review them, and then you make any additional updates and changes that you need. All right. Michael said, thanks. You're welcome. But yeah, check out that video. It's also a good in-depth breakdown of these two. And I might have missed something that Jordan covers in that tutorial. But that was our only person who signed up for the build review show today. I'm glad we were able to knock that out. Hopefully it was helpful. But if you guys ever want to sign up, send us an email or post an office hours channel. Let me know what sport, slate, and site you want me to review, and I would add you to the list for the next show, which will be next Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. All right, I'll be back tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Eastern for office hours on Saturday. So appreciate you guys. I will see you all then. So until then, take care. Thanks. Bye.